Alright, welcome to episode 16 of What If Civilization Started Over. Last time, what did we do last time? Had some British fighting. Japan got fully colonized. Wasn't a huge load last time. This is not helping with advertising my video, but who cares? That's who cares. But we also saw the discovery of Iceland, and that might be quite important for this episode, as we see the Norwegian country start to make a voyage over to Iceland in hopes of making colonization on the island. However, they have competition, that being this blue Scottish country, who in the last episode finished off the grey country, which the brown one booted out of Scotland and then took the Orkney Islands but left the Shetland and the Faroe Islands for the blue team to take. So they also have some ambitions in Iceland. However, they haven't actually got there yet on their own. So they do a few voyages around the southern bit. They come to this island, and take that, I suppose. And eventually they end up arriving at this peninsula. However, they're not ready to colonize it yet, so they have to wait a while. But yeah, this is a pretty big step, getting relatively close to Greenland. And who knows? Yeah, Greenland's not that far away. Might not be too long till we see people arriving in America. I mean, it's not very interesting America because Greenland's cold. And once people start to be able to actually live in the rest of Greenland, I mean, people live on the coast. There's like some tribe of Inuits, like right now living up here. And you've got like more people in Greenland than there are in Fiji. I mean, I'd probably rather live in Fiji than Greenland. Fiji's got cool water. Speaking of Scandinavia though, these countries need to be a bit stronger, especially Norway, before they can start settling Iceland. So we're going to see the partition of most of northern Nordic area. So Norway will be taking all of this and stretching up all the way up here, whilst the rest of it will go to Sweden. So let's just draw out that. The Swedish definitely have better territory, however they are entirely blocked in now, although it's not really that much they're missing out on. It's like, oh, that mountain, that Norwegian sea coast. Oh no, can't believe you're missing out on that. That's such a shame. So Sweden's pretty much finished wherever they can expand. You know, they could go to some weaker countries, however, there's not that many really. You've got the Terracotta one, the Sludge Nation. Finland's got a few friends. I mean, they're Finland's friend anyway. Go after the orange one, however, they are like Finland's best friend or second best friend. Go to the Druidic country, however, the Sludge Nation might just intercept that because they don't like the Druidic one either. Finland is going to do some more expansion in this area, so they'll be going up around this lake, and also expanding further into the Russian part of this area. I mean, that's like this entire bit, but this area. So they've nearly met up with the Norwegians, who will be trying to take up this last bit of coast, as they got up here, right to the last bit of spiky, cool stuff. And that's probably where they're going to leave it. You know, they need to turn their attention to much better land now, and that is Iceland. No, actually, this is probably better. Like Murmansk over here, don't you? Might just be the name of the region. That's the Kola Peninsula. I feel like there's a city called Murmansk. I shouldn't doubt myself as much on camera. I know geography and history. History is actually my favourite subject, because history is cool. If you think about it, there's going to be so much more history that will happen, and I won't get to know about. That's so sad. Anyway, thoughts of the day. Meanwhile, in Scotland, as they have their own colonial initiatives and ideas, they also need to become a bit stronger. So they're going to team up with the brown country, who I need to get the colour for. It's like this. Is this right? Ah, I got it. Also need to remove the grey team's capital. It is a major city, so that's cool. However, it's not the capital of the brown team anymore, if you didn't realise. 3 pixels, there we go. Took a while. And these two are going to team up against this country, who might actually be the strongest country in all of Britain. You know, they have trade with the East, so like Terracotta, Scandinavia, the French country probably. I mean, those are the guys who come up through the English Channel and to Scandinavia. What else on the Breton one? But also they can trade with all of Western England, Britain, and also all of Ireland, which is getting pretty angry at the moment. These Irish countries are on a hate triangle. Not a love triangle, a hate triangle. So that's fun. Yeah, so these two are teaming up to take down Galloway. And let's see how that goes. Galloway has two major cities, the capital and this one over here. However, the capital is of course going to be stronger than the second one, which I think used to be the capital of dark grey country that was over here. However, they got destroyed pretty quickly. So the Scottish are going to move in from this major city, and they're going to go down here and capture this one, whilst the brown Scottish nation will have a much trickier time, and it's a lot harder to gain land, whilst have the capital and all these people pushing down. However, the blue country will manage to separate the two areas of Galloway, so people begin to flee from the west. Some of them go to like the green one or this one. However, they're not really let into some of these countries. I mean, the green one will accept them because they're kind of more friendly. However, this lilac one is a bit aggressive, and some people even flee to Norway and the Terracotta Nation. But in the end, that leaves its entire eastern area undefended, so they managed to capture that. The brown country is ousted out of the south, as well as the blue country taking a few hits, as some vengeful people are now rising up from Galloway and taking some land. As the brown team is currently just falling apart, the capital is so far away that their main population body doesn't really know what's going on down here. They don't know how bad it is, and the brown country is also unwilling to admit how bad it is, so they don't have as many volunteers as the blue Scottish country, although the people are still very far away. Actually, no, I'm lying. I'm just lying. Don't mind any of that. Shh. There's just less people going for the brown one. I just could. There's more nationalistic people in the blue Scottish country, as they found Iceland, and they're very intrigued by that. Although the brown country might also go to Iceland pretty soon. So we shall have to see. The blue ones managed to take this bit of the country, and now they're moving in eastwards. They're going to continue the offensive route, as they just want to get this territory into their country, and they're kind of just letting this happen over here, whilst Galloway is beginning to actually threaten the capital of the brown country. However, Scotland is right on their capital, so kind of at the same time there's two sieges happening, as the Galloway country makes its way round to the capital of the brown country, and the blue country makes its way around to the Galloway one. They managed to take the Isle of Man. However, another country is going to try and third party in this war, and that will be Wales. So, in fact, the Isle of Man was really actually taken by Wales, and now Welsh forces are coming up from the south. Half of the Scottish cities are now being captured, but this just leaves this one very undefended, as many of the Galloway troops are up here fighting because they're berserkers. So Galloway's home region is taken, however they're still surviving up here, but it doesn't take too long for the Scottish to come and liberate these territories, and finally Galloway is defeated. So let's have a look at this peace treaty. Great. Yep, the brown country will be getting its land back, so they get this, blue Scotland's going to get this, and now it's just time to divide up the rest of the stuff. The Welsh country, just because they arrived a bit late, isn't going to get much. However, they don't really want much, because that's why they didn't intervene before, and they just take the Isle of Man. However, for the rest of it, the Blue Scottish country will be annexing a lot of this eastern stuff, as well as this really important area for their country. See this bit here, as this means they can actually get a coastline for trading with the west, which means it's going to be a lot quicker to trade down to Iberia, and I don't think they can make it into the Mediterranean one voyage. However, there's a lot of stops. Just go to Cornwall, Breton country, France. There's some little countries on this coast, or major cities. I suppose you'd land in Morocco, cities here, the capital city here. You know what I mean? There's a lot of major cities, and it's not too hard to get trade with at least northern Iberia if you're the Scottish country now, so that's good. They also annex another major city, which is the old Grey Team capital, and they're looking quite strong, so that's good for them. They also take this province, whilst the rest of them are going to be given to the Brown Team. They receive less because they were less helpful during the war. I mean, arguably. They took a lot of hits, they lost a lot of people, and they're very annoyed about how many people they lost. So in the end, after a bit of arguing, a few bits of fighting, the Brown country will be allowed to annex this other county over here. With that sorted out, new borders of Scotland, these two Scottish countries are definitely the most powerful countries in all of Britain. After them, probably Wales, then maybe Lilac, the red one, East Anglia. I'd say the weakest is definitely the pink one, because Cornwall and Wales, mainly just Cornwall, is barricading their route to the sea, in Cardiff. So they're a bit annoyed about that. However, the Cornish country is also doing some more anger-inducing stuff to the Breton and the Red country, and also like the Welsh one, but they kind of just don't care, because they're a lot stronger. Actually, yeah, these guys are probably number 3. Wales is very strong, and they're a rebellion from Brittany. Anyway, Brittany and the Red team are going to team up to take down Cornwall. So as you can see, this bit I haven't rechanged the colour. Although this part of the peninsula is owned by Brittany, however this island, or these islands, the Scilly Isles, are still actually owned by Brittany. So yeah, they're going to move into Cornwall, and it doesn't take too long until the Bretons manage to capture this major city, whilst the Red team moves into the east, which is relatively unpopulated. I mean, the northern bit is at least. So whilst the Bretons are taking this city and controlling the hordes there, the Red country will move further down until it gets like this. Then the two forces move in to siege the capital, as the Breton country manages to actually take this stuff over here, and they split the capital between them, as in their taking of it. And yeah, it doesn't take too long until they destroy the Cornish one. So goodbye Cornwall, you've been destroyed. And now we get to look at another British peace treaty. So let's have a look at that. So the Red country will be annexing this stuff over here, and they get this major city and these territories, whilst the rest of it will be going over to Brittany. We've definitely mobilized a lot more, they're doing some more stuff. In trade, and going around, their main thing, as I said before, is building boats, because although they do have quite a large bit of land, if you look at the countries they're near, such as the Pink one, or the Terracotta Nation, or even like some of these Iberian ones, their territory is nothing compared to that. And I mean, if you can grow more stuff, you can sell more produce at a lower price, because it's not going to have such a high value. I suppose you could sell it at a lower price, but I don't know, I had some moment of understanding business, but I have completely lost what I was going to say. I like economies, it's interesting, and history. So yeah, they're building more boats because they can do that quite well, because all these other countries are quite about agriculture, like horses or something, I don't know. But these guys build a lot of boats, so there you go. And now they've annexed the Cornish capital, which will not stay as the Cornish capital because Cornwall is gone. So I need to redraw that as another major city under Breton control. However, just like what happened with the Brown country, the Breton people aren't exactly pleased. They're a bit annoyed, in fact. So they're kind of angry at how the peace treaty came out, and they feel they should have got more land because they helped take both major cities, whilst the Red country only did half. So, seeing as Brittany is a lot older and a lot stronger, the Red country has no choice other than to just let them take these provinces over here in the north of Cornwall. So, a bit annoyed, but well, it's not the worst. The Red country is pretty large now. And they look a bit like Wessex, which is one of those old English countries. Anyway, what you came here to see was Iceland. So the Norwegian country will make the first landing over here in the east of Iceland. So they arrive over here and start their colony around this area. This is kind of like proper colonialism. I mean, in Japan, they're colonizing that islands. But I don't know, this is pretty far away, I would say. So it's pretty interesting. The Norwegian country isn't a very strong country, however, this might help them a bit. Probably not that much, seeing as it's an island made of ice. And volcanoes. Yeah, can't forget about those good old volcanoes. I know, 2 Icelandic cities. Anyway, the Scottish are the next people to make a landing. They kind of overestimate where they need to go, and end up making their landing on this peninsula. So that's where they're going to settle down. And they expand further into the northern bit, because of course the northern bit is going to be the best area of Iceland. They discover it's not. However, they've already done that, and they want this peninsula because it looks cool. It's not just me saying it looks cool. Yeah. Anyway, cool Scottish colony, and surprisingly, after a few years, the brown Scottish country will work out where Iceland is and make their own landing in the south. So that's them over here. And now they've made a colony. So Iceland is really getting partitioned up by these burgeoning colonial powers. So we'll have to see how that goes. I will probably revisit it at the end of the episode if I don't forget. But, yeah. There you go. A year when Britain occupied Iceland, and the Americans were like, yeah, just hand it over to us. We've never had any ambitions for taking Iceland away from Denmark or Greenland. You know, just let us occupy it. Anyway, we did, but back over to East Asia. The Chinese countries are becoming really strong now. So they're going to do more expansion into central China. And they kind of try and link up with the trade route countries. So finally, this yellowy one does link up with the grey country, like they said they would last time, and then lied to you. So, I've stopped lying now. As a lie. So, yeah. They can't expand too far, because eventually the planes stop. And also, across history, China has a great track record of falling apart every 30 years. It's like, oh, make a huge empire, become really strong, and fall apart. So wow, that's fun. Great. So it's just a whole lot of death in China. Their history must be so confusing, because all their empires have like the same names, or at least they do in English. It's like the Qing, the Ting, the Ming, the Sing, wasn't there one of those? The Song. Crikey, be more imaginative, dude. Yeah, I could try and come up with something original this time. Oh well. Whilst this country was taking more to the coast and expanding around this area, as they make it to Hainan, that's this island there. Ah, I learned an island name. That's crazy. And yet they're a pretty large country now. But you know what happens to large countries in China? They fall apart, so you should be careful. These two don't really have the best relations either, so it is highly possible that they go to war with each other. But we'll just have to wait and see. But now they've taken Hong Kong. I used to think they had that last time, and Macau. But something pretty major going on is Southeast Asia, because the Indian country, the Lime one, they're pretty interested in this stuff. Oh, this is cool. So yeah, brown country expanding into Myanmar. Bella was like, because she walked in whilst I was recording, and it's like, you're being so rude to the Myanmese. It's like, who would want to live in this blowing jungle? Like, why would you want to live here? It's just jungle. You can't get through it. It's just horrible. So, if, by some tiny chance, there's any Burmese person watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sure you have a great country. I'm glad you got out that period of just a load of military people controlling your country, because that didn't sound fun. From what I've read, and from what I've seen on that Philip Reeve thing, which is quite interesting actually. Anyway, India is going to start trying to map out this area, so they're going to make a landing on these Maldives islands. The Chagos Archipelago, which we still own, but you're not allowed to go there because it's a military base of the US. So, yeah. That's cool. Which island? They're gonna go for this pretty big island down here near the Yellow Country, who feels a bit threatened at the moment, but oh well. So they use that as their naval base to start exploring Southeast Asia. You know, they have that one, but that's not as cool. Although, they definitely need some major cities over here. This is like a pretty huge area for investments and stuff. Because, you know, they've looked at the maps. If you look at a map, although they don't know what this bit over here in Southeast Asia looks like, they do know, you know, you've got China over here, this big bit over here, you've got India around here. It makes a lot of sense that there would be a way to connect these two bits. In fact, the world would be warped if there wasn't a way to connect these two bits. So the Indians and the Chinese are going to start exploring this area with the help of the Koreans and the Sakhalinese dudes. So India will make some explorations and they'll arrive in Archipelago beginning with an A. Those islands. Ooh, the Danish used to own them. The Nicobar Islands. You know, those ones. Anyway, make a landing over there. And they're going to make a colony over there as well. I mean, it's sort of a colony. I would say the Indian Lime one is probably an empire. You know, you don't need colonies to be an empire. But I'd say they would be. So they're going to take this island around here and start exploring this bit. So they make their way across the entire Thai Myanmar coast. So they explore this with the help of the Brown Country. This is a rare instance of cooperation between these two countries, which is crazy. And also the yellow one down in Sri Lanka. So they map out Myanmar, they go down into still Myanmar, and finally into Thailand and Malaysia. Well, probably not. Makes Thailand. They make a landing in Sumatra, and then go down the Strait of Malacca, which will be very important. You can see the island of Singapore there, and continue to follow the coast. The Chinese, on the other hand, are going down here. They discover Hainan. They go down by the coast of Vietnam, although it is quite tricky. However, at one point, whilst there's some boats here and some Indian boats over here, they manage to see each other. Like, oh my god, it's a boat! So they share their results in their really crudely drawn maps, and they kind of work out how this works. It's a very weird looking bit of land. It's like, hey, are we sure we drew this right? And also, they don't know about this bit, so they kind of think it looks a bit like this. Which looks a bit better, but it doesn't, so oh well. And you know, these countries are now getting some ideas over what can be done with Southeast Asia, However, lots of it isn't explored. They don't know about the Philippines, Borneo, Java, most of Indonesia in fact, and all of the rest of this stuff. So that's cool. There you go, more exploration, and this will become very important in the future as India rises to maybe like number 3. They're probably at the same power ranking now as the Sludge Nation. They're becoming very strong and very influential, so that's cool to know. They also have a few more ideas over in Africa, as they make their way across a lot to this Ethiopian one, so they do a lot of trade in all these cities. They also do trade with the Orange Country, who kind of made the Lime Country into what it is today. You're responsible for these guys, because they helped trade with them and stuff, and start all these cities over in this cool bit of land over here. So it's your fault if they do anything bad. But they're trying to do some more exploration around here, because this is quite cool. I think this is like where Zanzibar is, and they've got pretty close to finding these islands. So they're going all over the Indian Ocean now, as they're number 3. What else was I going to do today? Grey Country. These guys, they've not done much for a very long time, however, they're going to do something. After the trade is picked up, they've got trade with a lot more countries now. There's this city over here in Crimea. So trade with Crimea, the Brown Country, and the Green Country. And they've even got some traders who go along this northern trade route all the way into the rest of Eastern Europe. And some people who go on along the Silk Road. These guys are pretty important for travelling through there. Go to this city, this one, they go around the lake, through their capital, and onwards. There's a significant amount of trade, and they use this new economic boom to capture the rest of this river. There's probably more of it that connects to all these bits. However, that's not on the map. So they took over this major area and make themselves look like a kind of bird, Pakistan looking thing. So that's cool. They're still poor, but it's getting better. And that region is still very useless. That might not have been a good investment. Anyway, looking at the Silk Road, this looks too good. How is it that these countries would all stay together? They're in the middle of nowhere, haven't explored a lot of stuff. So I've decided I'm going to collapse a few of them, because I'm so nice like that. So first of all, we have this teal one. You can see the southern region. There's nothing going on here. So that causes then a little collapse. So, this may have been sponsored by the Green Country slightly. The sponsor of today's rebellion is the Green Country. I don't know what that was about. Sorry. So you see some rebellions mostly break out around these lakes because that's where the major areas are. However, they don't have a huge grasp over this stuff because they're mostly concerned about the northern bit. And this means it doesn't take too long. Just put that in there. No, we can't. We did it. And so rebellion breaks out around this area. And pretty quickly it connects up with other bits. It connects up with the Green Country, who kind of funds it a bit. They're alright. They've got a few major cities. Their land is smaller than what this Teal Country had. So they think they'll probably be fine. Hoping to incite this rebellion as it stretches along the south, and more rural people decide to help out with this, and finally it makes its way over to the Yellow Country. I do not know which colour the Yellow Country was, or which number they were. Anyway, in the end, this country, which is still a pretty capable step one, manages to help reduce the size of the rebellion. However, it's bloody, it reduces a lot of trade, there's a lot of angry people about, and even a few traders start attacking people in this place. So in the end, just so they don't break their country anymore, they decide to let this new state go. So, there we are. New country in the south. These guys pretty much just doomed themselves. At least there was a bit of money coming through from the north, eventually dripping down into their bit. However, now nobody goes through this area, so they have to do an awful lot to make themselves seem like a good place to go. So, it might have been a bit of a silly idea for them, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe it was a good investment. Light blue to 70. That's what I wrote as. That looks cool. Anyway, these guys have had a bit of a diet on land, and they're still doing fine. You know, people across the other country now, once again. Like, we just lost a few people. There really weren't too many people down here. It's just that they were pretty angry, and they had horses. And you can't fight angry people on horses very well. So, yeah. There we go. That's that. And we're going to return to Iceland, because something pretty cool is going to be happening in Iceland. And it is starting off with more colonialism of the place. See the Norwegian country take a huge bite out of eastern Iceland. This brown one is going to take this pretty big area. And the blue one's going to take the actual peninsula where they wanted to start, and even connect up with the brown one, as well as taking this pretty large peninsula bit. See, Iceland is falling away to colonial powers relatively quickly. Be afraid. Anyway. And you know the cool thing about Iceland? It's pretty close to another really large landmass. In fact, it's the largest island in the world if you don't count Australia. Nah, Britain is big. And it's Greenland. So a few Scottish, Norwegian people. It's like a combined group of guys who grew out like, what if there's a second Iceland? They might be high on something. But they're like, you know what, there might be a second Iceland. Who knows? So they decide to sail out. Is this the right blue? No, it's not. Why is it not? Sail out from their country, from their Icelandic colony, I suppose, in search of more land, and they finally arrive at some. They arrive at this bit, right around here. Go, wow, this is absolutely terrible. However, it's land, and you know what us colonial countries like? Land. So they tell everyone about it. They're like, guys, there's a big, huge chunk of ice up here. That's cool. So yeah, next time we're going to see even more colonialism, and this time it's actually been people arriving in North America. And just because the party was headed by Norwegians, I'm going to say the Norwegians have discovered America again. It's an inevitability. The Norwegians discover America. It's just one of those things. So yeah, also I don't like how Iceland looks, so after this people become even more inspired to colonize Iceland. So they could divvy it up in a sort of treaty. You know, they had things. That was a Scandinavian idea. You know, Thingvellir in Iceland. It's like their second biggest city or something. That's because that's where all the chiefs had their big old chats. Like a thing, so you get all the chiefs around, which is just someone who owns land. And people, I suppose, like a province of your country. And they'd have a big chat over what they wanted to do. So they have one of those. They have a big chat. And they divide up the rest of Iceland. So it turns out looking something like this. So that's cool. This is pretty interesting, actually. We only created one country this episode. Might have been slightly underwhelming. Don't think we did too many things. However, it's been a huge episode in terms of discovery. Had a few British wars. You know, they now know the way between India and China, and a few countries might try and capitalize on how much money that could bring you. So our next episode is going to be very interesting as we move further and further into the colonial period. How many colonial countries do we have at the moment? Well, Iceland, 2 Scottish nations, Japan, Korea. You could say India's colonial because of the random islands that they own, but they're not really yet. I mean, that's just colonial empires. The terracotta country used to be a colonial empire, so did the blue and the purple country. Actually, you know what, it's got a bit of time. Don't really. Blue country, gonna make them have more desert. Woohoo. Because I think these guys may have actually been pushed off the top 5. I think Crimea is stronger than them, so they need to gather more power, and seeing as there's not an easy load of stuff to take, they're gonna gather power by taking some desert and just shoving some people there. Got camels, farm camels, do that. Let's get a bit of a sad blue team this time. Anyway, yeah, they had colonies in Iberia. The red team kind of colonial. Not like Siberia is a colony of Russia, technically. I mean, now it's kind of part of Russia. But when it was made, it was a colony of Russia. The red team's stuff, when they discovered Tunisia and North Africa, was kind of like that. And I suppose the green team's steppe stuff was colonial. Anyway, I'm yapping. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm having a lot of fun making these videos. I mean, it takes a while to convince myself to go in and make a video. However, once I do it, I feel really good. It's a lot of fun for me. Hope you enjoy it whilst you're watching it. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Hope. Like, subscribe, comment. Have a nice rest of your day. And I will see you again next time. Goodbye.